The American justice system is not broken. I think we're just saying it for what it has always been. But you see, our eyes were blind because we have always been lied to. Democracy was a hoax. The people that we vote into power might not even be the ones that are always elected. So I think in 2024 and in the modern age, there are revelations that are being given to us. And it's up to us to grasp them and accept the truth for what it is. Now, word of caution for those living in the land of the free, as this palm-color man has a word of advice to you. He's very concerned about the future of the land of the free, because with everything that is getting exposed, is the justice system really a hoax? Something that was lied to us just to keep us in check and in control. Convicted felons are now regarded as eligible to be voted into office. The all-powerful dollar that people considered as the reserve currency of the world is being given up in some other countries. With that being said, you leave your thoughts in the comment section regarding today's discussion, and let me roll this clip for us to have the conversation.
It's going to be a controversial topic and very sensitive, so I hope you hear my heart in this. I want to address this message to the people that's living in the United States of America. And I want to speak to you as someone looking from the outside in. You know, sometimes when you're in a situation, you're so subjectively involved that you cannot see everything clear. And I know there are people that are very aware of what's happening in America at this moment in time, but I want to share with you my opinion looking from the outside in. I do believe that America is at a very critical crossroad in its history. I've been to America a couple of times and I really like Americans. I've got some really, really good American friends, but I think it's very, very clear that there's a big difference between the average American and the American government. Today we heard that Trump was found guilty on all the charges. And at the same time, Biden goes and he tells the Ukraine that they can strike Russia on their home soil with US weapons. We see the United States and NATO moving closer and closer to Moscow. And the thing is this, if I look at the history of Russia, if I look at their policies, etc., Russia is not just going to take this. And I don't think the average American realize how close to major catastrophe they really are. And it's very clear that the American government is actually pushing forward with Russia, and this is not going to end well. If you look at the southern border, where thousands and hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants are coming into the country, and then they get treated better than many of the military veterans and the people living on the streets. I mean, when was the last time you looked at places like Chicago? More funds are being allocated outside of America to assist others, but Americans are suffering. And to me, that's not right. Why are so many young men from various nationalities, including China, flooding into the United States? Have you ever thought about that? Over the last couple of years, we've seen the Federal Reserve printing and printing dollars as if there's no end. And of course, we know that that's going to lead to inflation and eventually hyperinflation. We see more and more countries departing from the petrodollar. They are dumping the US dollar as the reserve currency. It seems like to some extent the American justice system is broken. And my heart goes out to America because it's a great country. The people are great. I mean, I've got some friends that's from Iran. Great people, but sometimes you have to understand there's a difference between those governing and the people. Many people of various countries, even the countries that you will consider your enemy, the people itself sometimes are really wonderful people. They just want to live. They just want to love their families. They just want to progress in life and have a stable life, etc. But the problem comes in very often with the leaders. And I know that there's no perfect country. There's no perfect government. But I do believe when I look at America, there is a very, very clear agenda running to destroy the United States. If you look at the movies that were released lately, Leave This World Behind and, Civil War, why? Ask yourself the question, why at this time? Is it predictive programming? Is it to desensitize you towards what is coming? Is it to show America what is coming? And I don't want to judge and come across critical, but something is wrong, folks. Civil War, the movie, now? And you might say, that's just a conspiracy. Listen, ignorance on your side does not necessarily constitute a conspiracy theory on my side. You need to stand back and look at the bigger picture of what is happening. Look at policies regarding your economy. Look at your military movements. Look at former allies and countries that were close to the United States that's pulling away. And the reason why I share this, I want to just encourage, especially the Christians in the country, you need to pray. Pastors need to mobilize their people to pray. America needs prayer. It's a critical hour in America. A lot of people have lost their businesses. If you look at the lockdowns over the last couple of years, they're locking down small businesses, but the big corporate businesses can function. So at the end of the day, they're consolidating power into the hands of the multinational corporations. And who is suffering? The average person on the street. The reason I share this message is because I care for people. I care for the Americans. I care for the Europeans. I care for the Russians, believe it or not. I've been to Russia a couple of times. It's a great country. The people are great. But very often, people suffer because of the decisions of leaders. And you can say, who are you to speak? You've got no right. You know, I know. Maybe I have no right. I'm not saying these things to be judgmental or to just criticize. I'm saying it because I really care. And I don't want to see people suffering. The church in America really needs to wake up. And the average American needs to be wise in their decisions that they make in the coming days and months. I wish the people of the United States all the best.
Hey, TikTok's been inundated with all these videos of hot takes by foreigners on what they think of America, usually from Americans asking. And they've been semi-humorous and all of these weird differences where America sits in some sort of exceptionalism to the rest of the world. But I don't think, actually, given what's going on in America, that there's a lot of room for humor in all of this. Because, man, we are fucking terrified. By dint of geography, American exceptionalism, and the rest of the world being completely fucked up, you guys are the most powerful and richest nation in the world, and we watch on in terror as you slowly retreat into some sort of weird cult obsession with a whole bunch of ways of living that are just out of sync with the rest of the world so badly that it's obvious that within your cognitive dissonance that as a country you are just hostage to a group of cults with an L. And what I mean by this is that your country's founding, at least from a white settler point of view, was a bunch of fucking religious nutcases who got chucked out of Europe going, hey, let's go to America where we'll be free, freedom. And you used that freedom to slaughter indigenous populations and set up a place where you could believe whatever the fuck you like and rule yourselves in accordance with those particular beliefs without interference, except that you then went on to try and impose those fucked up beliefs on everyone else. So what you've got is this entire continent covered over with cults of various denominations of Christianity, other weird offshoots of that. You've got Mormons and Latter-day Saints and Christian Scientists and Scientologists. And once we put aside the religious element, which is bad enough, you've got a whole bunch of secular cults, the cult of gun ownership, the cult of Second Amendment rights, the cult of individualism, the cult of pull yourself up by your bootstraps, the cult of white supremacy, which is underpinned by white evangelical Christianity. The whole thing is just a bunch of fucking cults, and the system that you've chosen for government is one that is also hostage to cults. It's been set up deliberately so that small groups can effectively tell the rest of the country what to do, because each of your senators is corruptly in the pocket of one or more of these fucking cults, right? So that you've got terrorist organizations like the NRA who have a whole bunch of people like Ted Cruz and these other fucking oxygen-thieving cockwombles who, whatever happens, just say, more guns, more guns, more guns, freedom! And all the people shouting freedom haven't got a fucking clue what that means, because everyone takes it as freedom to impose their bullshit on everyone else. And I know that the vast majority of Americans don't fall into this trap, but they are hostage to the cults. Time to wake up and get rid of these motherfuckers, people. Please, please.
I recently came across this video that was circulating on social media where it's a news event or newscaster that was saying that the Roman Catholic is commanding everybody to go for mass, and those that won't are gonna suffer, right? They're gonna suffer the implications of it. And people were confused. They were like, what time are you living in? And then people were basically just asking, what the narrator or the newscaster was imposing and implying with her words. And the thing is, somebody in the comment section responded saying that she's trying to give you this perception based in the future to show you what's going to come, right? To show that there's going to be a time when the church, right, the Roman church is going to be more powerful than anything else. And those that are going to oppose it are going to suffer the implications. Now, the thing is, that hasn't happened. Like, it's not happening right now, but that's just a matter of when. Because this is what they always do. So movies like Leave the World Behind, the Civil War movie as well, those are just to show you what's coming. And most of us are pretty much ignorant, but we see these things taking place. And once they happen subconsciously in our minds, they'll pretty much happen on a global event. As above, so below. That's the concept of universal law, and this is what they utilize. This is the narrative that the powerful uses. So this Palm Color Man is basically cautioning everybody living in the land of the free, because the land of the free is in conflict with almost every country on the planet. Russia, China, African countries as well. African countries are even abandoning the dollar as the reserve currency. So what does that suggest? That suggests that, economically talking, the land of the free is likely to go down. But right now, we are all aware a lot of banks are closing down. A lot of micro institutions are getting affected with everything that is happening because it's cutting ties with countries that used to support it. Russia at some point even provided the oil to the land of the free. And Vladimir is pretty much helping liberate African countries, right? So with that conflict that we have right now, that shows you that the tension is more vital than we can ever imagine, and it can spark something enormous. Now, back to the conflict involving Russia and Ukraine. So Russia warns US against mistakes that may have fatal consequences. We are getting more warnings from Russia now to the land of the free. So the foreign ministry told the US not to make any mistakes that may have fatal consequences in relation to allowing Ukraine to attack back on Russian soil. The Interfax news agency reported. So the foreign minister earlier warned that Ukraine using Patriot air defense systems in Russia would escalate conflict. Now, what does that all mean? So this suggests that Russia is issuing warnings, right, regarding the potential actions related to Ukraine, because Russia is cautioning the land of the free not to allow Ukraine to strike Russian soil using the Patriot air defense systems in Russia. Now, this may imply that Russia perceives these potential actions as highly dangerous and potentially leading to severe repercussions, perhaps even escalating into a full-scale conflict. By issuing these warnings, Russia is signaling its concerns and attempting to deter the US from taking actions that it views as threatening to its national security and interests. And you and I both know that the land of the free and Uncle Sam, they pretty much don't care about anybody. In fact, no political leader cares about nobody, right? And perhaps that's why they are building those bunkers. In case of anything, they're going to be living underground. You know, so that's the reason why this Palm Color Man is saying that they don't really care whatever happens to their citizens at this point, because they've prepared in advance, right? Whether they win this war or not, they've prepared for both possibilities of winning and losing, or have some repercussions, and they've prepared in advance. And since a lot of marginalized communities and black people are not going to be involved in any conflict involving the land of the free, because they know that the land of the free doesn't care about them, the hands comes in those immigrants. Those immigrants are pretty much the replacement for the people that don't want to face this battle for Uncle Sam and the land of the free. In fact, even if Uncle Sam loses the elections, the one that is going to come in office is still going to spark a conflict, because a conflict is bound to happen. There's a regime, of course, that whoever enters the office has to adopt, regardless of their political agendas, regardless of their political affiliations. And that is the reason why perhaps the Trump train is not getting any repercussions of what he did. And that conviction that he has, he is still eligible to be voted into office. Palm-colored dominance, or entitled or not, that tells you something that the people should be prepared for. Now, with that being said, leave your thoughts in the comment section regarding today's discussion and what you heard this Palm-colored man say. I will see you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.